Hey guys, and welcome back to Z3 Cuber, as MoYu likes to call me. I thought I was done reviewing new cubes for the year, but then I got this unexpected package in the mail, shaped suspiciously like a Pyraminx, and I feel like cube companies have all but given up on the Pyraminx. Like, it's only every year or so that I actually get to try out a new one. Meanwhile, they release dozens of 3x3s. So that's why, even if it's going to be a really quick video, I really want to open this up and try it out. So it came in the package with this little flathead screwdriver and adjustment tool. I believe the retail packaging also has another screwdriver and an instruction booklet. Now I feel like I must be missing something here, but I think that the last MoYu branded Pyraminx was the MoYu Magnetic-Pyraminx from 2016, over 5 years ago now. Just to give you an idea of how old that is, it was called the MoYu Magnetic-Pyraminx because having magnets as opposed to ball bearings was a brand new feature that you couldn't even get in 3x3s at the time. But needless to say, I am very excited to see what kind of crazy innovation MoYu has been waiting 5 years to release. So let's go ahead and do some first turns. Okay, that has some pretty strong magnets, is my first kind of impression. Yeah, I do quite like the way that the magnets always make sure the cube is aligned, like even more so than on a normal puzzle. Like the thing with a Pyraminx, if you have a layer slightly misaligned as you try and turn, especially doing U moves, I find, everything just kind of gets all wonky like this. That was especially a problem with the GAN Pyraminx, which just feels very flimsy. The magnets aren't quite as strong, and I find this happening to me a lot. Who knows, maybe that's just my inexperience with Pyraminx. It hasn't quite been 5 years, but probably pretty close to that since I practice consistently, so keep that in mind with everything I'm saying. Overall, I would just describe the turning as very fast. I'm not a super fast turner, so that maybe isn't the best for me. I guess it's actually more of a frictionlessness, which comes from the MagLev, which we'll be exploring later, as well as these friction ridges. But aside from that, it just feels very fluid, and combined with that clickiness of the strong magnets, it just feels super nice to turn. Compared to my current main, which is a slightly modded Yushin from the Cubicle, yeah, this one is definitely more fluid. I think the corner cutting is probably the main thing. Yeah, the corner cutting seems about on par with most of the Pyraminxes I've tried. You could probably loosen it up to get a little bit more forwards, but the reverse seems very good, like over 60 degrees there. And that's probably just due to these very rounded looking edges. Also real quick, the tips are perfectly acceptable. The magnets are strong enough that you're not going to accidentally turn it, but they're very easy to flick when you want to, and they always end up aligned. Anyway, before we get on to the most exciting part of this new Pyraminx, which is of course the MagLev, let's check out the magnets themselves. It looks like they start out on the strongest setting, which definitely makes sense given how the cube feels. And you can take their little flathead screwdriver and just stick it in the slot right there to adjust it to, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different settings before it clicks back to the original. Now I imagine most people will probably want slightly weaker than the stock magnets because they are very strong right out of the box. So let's go ahead and adjust them all to maybe 2 down from the default setting and see what that makes it feel like. Okay, so there's 12 magnets to adjust around the cube. It was super easy, only took around 30 seconds, and let's try it out. Okay, it definitely feels a lot looser now, like a little bit more flimsy like I was talking about before, but honestly not too bad. I definitely do like this setting better than the original super strong magnets, and I'll probably end up going with either this setting or maybe the one right in between the two. Okay, I just tried out the setting 1 down from the strongest, but I think that 2 is definitely better. Anyway, let's now move on to the most exciting part of this Pyraminx, which is of course the MagLev. So let's go ahead and get the tips off. I'm not sure exactly how they come off, if you can just pull them. It doesn't seem like it. Can we pry the pieces apart with our fingernails? Not really, they're really tight. Let's try and get a knife in there and pry apart. It almost seems the way the plastic is bending like it's glued together, but that doesn't make any sense because they included an adjustment tool in the box, so surely you can open it somehow. Like I'm prying on this as much as you reasonably could, and it's not coming open. Okay, I figured it out. My first guess was right. You just have to hold on to it like this and pull it straight out. I guess I just wasn't pulling hard enough the first time. And there we go, it comes off. Those are some pretty strong clips. You can see the tip magnets right there. You could actually make them a little bit stronger just by adding more magnets on top of there. And down there we have the screw. We have a magnet, which is repelling another magnet underneath it. And that is how MagLev works. You just have 2 repelling magnets instead of a spring. I'm not going to explain the physics again of what makes those 2 different, but I do think that the MagLev is particularly well suited to a Pyraminx. Basically, I feel like the way that you turn a Pyraminx necessitates you being a little bit more aggressive, pushing more on the core. And the way that MagLev works is that as you push further on the core, the magnets actually push back harder, whereas a spring is more of a linear relationship. And so that kind of translates into a bit more of like a cushion feel, like the cube is controlling you a little bit better. And it also means that when you're turning super lightly, it gives you more of that gliding feel, like there's just no friction in between the pieces. But the other exciting thing about this core is that this is a MoYu cube, and it's been so long since they've made a Pyraminx that I think this might be the first Pyraminx on the market that actually has a decent elasticity adjustment system, other than maybe the GAN, but that one's kind of annoying. And so what that means is you can take this little adjustment tool here, it fits right into the 2 little notches next to the screw, just stick it in there, and that will change the spring compression, or in this case the magnet compression. Now I just counted it out, there are 8 different steps, and I feel like either 2 or 3 clicks will probably be the best based on MoYu's other MagLev cubes, and I feel like this cube definitely does need an elasticity adjustment out of the box because it feels not quite springy enough. That's what the compression does, by the way. It makes the springs, or in this case the magnets, feel just a little bit stronger. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust all the sides and see how it works out. Oh yeah, 3 clicks feels great. I think I'm going to keep it like this. It actually brings out that MagLev feel a little bit more, and I really like it. Now let's get this back into a Pyraminx and not a Tetraminx. Did I tell you how hard these tips were to get off? Yeah, they were really hard. Anyway, now that this cube happens to be scrambled up, let's go ahead and do a quick solve. I'm going to attempt a V-first method, but it might not go too well because I haven't practiced this in forever. Yeah, it just took me about 30 seconds to plan a decent V, so let's go ahead and start in 3, 2, 1, go. Overall, I do quite like this puzzle. I don't feel like I've kept up enough with Pyraminx hardware recently to give a good general recommendation, but if you like a fast Pyraminx with lots of adjustability, then this might be for you. Did I tell you how out of practice I was? I spent 30 seconds in inspection and still forgot what I was going to do. I feel like the one thing that's missing in the turning is a little bit more controllability. I feel like a lot of times you do a flick and it goes a little bit more than a turn. In fact, if you really tried, you could probably do a U3. Like that. So the best way to describe it would be a very fast Pyraminx. That's partially because of the MagLev and just the frictionlessness that creates, but luckily that can be solved for me because I'm a slower turner with a bit of lube. So I'll definitely be messing around with adding some more lube for controllability and hopefully start getting back into practicing Pyraminx as well. I'll leave a pinned comment down below about how it's going a week or so after filming this. Oh yeah, I'm not sure how I've made it this far in the video without mentioning, but it's called the MoYu WeiLong Pyraminx. Of course, this is the MagLev version and it costs $19, which I think is actually a really reasonable deal for all the features that you're getting with it. In comparison, Gain's top of the line Pyraminx costs $29. It's a lot less adjustable, and I think it turns worse. So if you want to buy it, go ahead and click the link in the description. You can use discount code Z3Cubing to get 5% off at thecubicle.com. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it for this extra little Pyraminx unboxing video. I hope you all enjoyed and learned something, and I'll see you guys next time.